All right, man, peace. You know, brothers, I've always stated that athletes actually die two deaths. They have their athletic mortality, and then, of course, their literal death. And what you'll notice, especially with former great athletes, as they're nearing their end in their careers, they'll start to be asked more questions about the new it thing, the new hot quarterback or the new hot point guard or shooting guard or baseball player. They'll be asked about that person more than they are their actual selves, because what media members expect is for great athletes to be able to place what they're seeing in this new up-and-coming it thing in proper context. And former greats who are noticing that their athletic mortality is approaching, they'll try to pull on the heartstrings of those media members by trying to juxtapose the new it thing with themselves to try to get people to notice them one last time. Michael Jordan will sometimes do it in his last year with the Wizards when he would be asked about Kobe Bryant. I notice it now, of course, with Aaron Rodgers and Patrick Mahomes. And there are a lot of synchronicities between Aaron Rodgers and Patrick. They both have phenomenal arms, very accurate, mobile. Aaron Rodgers was recently asked about who he views as being someone who may be on his level. And of course, he mentioned Patrick Mahomes, while once again juxtaposing Patrick to himself to let people know, even though you're claiming that Patrick is the best thing ever, just 10 years ago, that was me. So, of course, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Let's move on to Aaron Rodgers, who can squat, who is a former MVP also and Super Bowl champ, just like Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes is arguably the best player in the league right now, so it probably shouldn't be a surprise when Rodgers was asked recently on the podcast if he's seen a quarterback who is better than he is. And he brought up Mahomes. Take a listen to this.
I've never felt like there's anybody who watching them throw is, head and shoulders above me.
And you shouldn't, because Aaron Rodgers, for about a 5-year stretch, from around 2009 to about 2014, 2015, was the best quarterback I've ever seen. It's just that over a career, he's not been able to win the big one enough. And many times, to be quite frank with you, in clutch moments, he's come up very small.
My buddy and State Farm ally, Pat Mahomes, I think the way that he plays really reminds me of myself.
I would agree with that.
I say that with the utmost amount of respect and humility, just because I think I love watching him play, because he runs around, he makes throws all over the place, he no-look passes, and he does it with, I think enough balance between swagger and humility.
Joined now by Fox NFL analyst LeVar Arrington. That pit bull is back. I told him. Let's start with you. You like Aaron Rodgers' humble brag here? Bruh.
Once again, I think that Aaron is starting to notice, people are opening that door for him to walk out of. Sometimes there are one too many people at the party. It's almost like a game of musical chairs. After a while, you're noticing that there's no chair for you. They're trying to make the way for Aaron Rodgers out of the door in Green Bay. And I think that sometimes people believe that certain things will never happen to them. When you look at the history of the quarterback position, Johnny Unitas did not end his career with the Colts. Joe Montana did not end his career with the 49ers. The great Tom Brady is not going to end his career with the Patriots. Aaron Rodgers is seeing the writing on the wall. And he's just trying to get people to feel sorry for him, to say, look, yeah, Patrick is great, but what about me?
It wasn't a humble brag. It was a humble fact. It was a humble truth. It was a humble reality. And nothing braggadocious about it. But I love Patrick Mahomes. I genuinely do. But the problem our world falls to is recency bias.
I would agree with that.
Remember, anything Patrick Mahomes is doing and has done, for the most part, Aaron Rodgers, he already did. Patrick Mahomes.
Not quite. But I kind of sort of see where you're trying to go. If you compare Patrick Mahomes' first 2 years as a starter to anyone in history, it's really not even that close when you combine individual stats with winning.
Studs, Travis Kelce, Mecole Hardman, Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill, those were his receivers. But let me take you back to, 2010, when Aaron Rodgers had Jordy Nelson, Greg Jennings, Donald Driver, Jermichael Finley. Well, what did Aaron Rodgers do?
Yeah, he was squatted up. And don't forget, he also had Charles Woodson. That's the main reason why he was able to win the chip that year, because of the great Charles Woodson playing on defense for the Packers.
Super Bowl. The only difference is he did it in a more impressive fashion. Nothing braggadocious about it. Aaron Rodgers' Super Bowl run. He beat 4 teams, not 3, all on the road, en route to Jerry World to win the thing.
I'm not quite sure if he was more impressive than Patrick Mahomes, though. I mean, let's be for real. The Packers won in Chicago with a backup quarterback playing for Chicago. So, I mean, it is what it is. I'm not going to take anything away from Aaron because he is a tremendous quarterback. But what we saw from Patrick Mahomes in this past NFL postseason with the comeback victories, game after game after game, never been seen before.
He beat 3 teams. He dodged the number 1 seed Ravens. He dodged the top defense in the Patriots. Aaron Rodgers, he had to go on the road and do all that stuff. So when A-Rod talks about Pat Mahomes, it's not being the braggadocious. It's not even stunting. A-Rod is speaking truth. He's speaking facts. It's unfortunate that I have to remind y'all, along with the rest of the world, that A-Rod was Pat Mahomes before Pat Mahomes was Pat Mahomes.
He was that. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it not one bit. And I like your reasoning, but I don't like it at all. All right, now here's what I'm thinking.
What?
This is totally a disingenuous selling flex, right?
Ooh.
You jumped in there and listen. I have no problem with a shameless plug. All right, I might be the king of them every once in a while. But you plugged my State Farm bandmate, right? That's my buddy. You already started down the wrong road with that with me.
No, it was the right role for him. Once again, he's trying to synchronize himself with Patrick Mahomes. He's trying to tell the people out there, I'm not quite that old yet. I can still star in my own motion picture. Give me a chance. Aaron right now knows it's almost like a relationship where you could tell the chick is not feeling you like she used to, or, maybe something else is going on. But he's mentally preparing himself for his exit. And he just wants to make sure that people understand what he has in his folder, what he's been able to do over the course of his career.
But then secondly, you're like, I haven't seen anybody whose head and shoulders better than Aaron Rodgers.
That's true.
Let me go here and talk about what he does and how he does it like A-Rod does it. Like, that's so disingenuous. You need to be worried about Jordan Love and how he's throwing the ball and how he's rolling out. Last I checked, they traded up to get a first-round quarterback, and he's sitting on your team roster right now.
Right, but he wasn't asked about Jordan Love. He was asked about Patrick Mahomes. I kind of sort of understand where you're trying to go with this because he is starting to feel obsolete, and they do call Jordan Love possibly the next Patrick Mahomes, but I don't see how you could find the next Patrick Mahomes when we barely have seen this Patrick Mahomes. Either way, Aaron Rodgers is trying to figure out who he is as a person right now because he's going through a transitional phase from being a top athlete in his sport to questioning himself, can I still do it?
You sit there and you throw out, I haven't seen anyone that is head and shoulders better than A-Rod, but let me give you a name. That's a shot fired across the bow. I don't like it. I think it's disingenuous. And to that point, I got a next little story, but I'm going to turn it over to Marcellus. I'm going to turn it over to Marcellus. I don't like it.
Cliffhanger.
Cliffhanger. Like that wire headphones hanging.
Well, I'm not in studio.
Spend that Fox check somewhere, bro. You got to get you some wireless buds. Let me tell you.
I don't get no money.
Let me tell you how
You don't deserve any money. This dude, LeVar Arrington, is probably the worst football analyst that I've seen on TV. He's lucky to have a job. I have love for the brother, but I mean, damn, he's terrible.
Is dead on this. This is humble facts. And it's just a real thing. First of all, hey, y'all, America, I don't care who podcast I go on. If my name is Aaron Rodgers, ease up on the, so have you seen any other quarterback?
I agree. I mean, there's a certain amount of respect you have to have for an Aaron Rodgers, or he's going to take his respect. That's just how Aaron is. There's a reason that he's been able to get to the heights that he's been able to achieve over the course of his career because of his insane amount of belief in himself.
You think are better than you? Because what you're really trying to whisper is,
Bro.
you think somebody better than me. Now, if you want to take me at, age 36 and try to throw me against these young guns while they're entering their prime, hey, not really a fair competition because I don't know what they're going to look like at 36. But if you
True.
do a year-to-year comparison, or me at that same age or around that age, Acho said it. Hey, bruh, we've seen this before from Patrick Mahomes in the form of Aaron Rodgers. Who is the most talented quarterback in NFL history? I've heard this accolade too many times.
It depends on what you're talking about. Are we going to assess skills, or are we going to assess natural athletic ability, or a combination of both? Because if we're just going to go pure natural talent, you have Terry Bradshaw, you have John Elway, you have Brett Favre, you have Aaron Rodgers, you have Pat Mahomes. If we're going to go the mental route, the understanding of what's going on around them, of course you have Joe Montana, you have Tom Brady, you have Peyton Manning. Of course, honorable mention to Roger Staubach, who has a combination of all those qualities. So it depends. It's a nuanced conversation.
Aaron Rodgers. And now there is a guy who has similar arm talent or even greater arm talent. But here's why you have to hold your horses. I give it to you in story form. When you look at someone that you're starting to say, look, they're going to be amazing, your projections are getting in front of you, they already have a resume. He's an MVP, he's a Super Bowl MVP, he's a Super Bowl champion. But Aaron Rodgers was also that after his third year playing as well. But I was doing a television show, and I'm about to do some wet snitching here.
I'm not quite sure if you can equate that due to the fact that Aaron has sat behind Brett Favre for 2 or 3 years. So there was a lot more that he soaked in than Pat Mahomes. And Pat Mahomes did not win the championship after his third year. He won the championship after his second year starting. Once again, Aaron Rodgers sat for 2 or 3 years and then played about 3 years before he won his first championship, or his only championship.
I had to answer as a former defensive lineman, is J.J. Watt the greatest defensive lineman potentially ever? That was like the question. They were projecting because, J.J. Watt, look at his record. Dude went out there and had 20.
Yes, the Eminem effect. J.J. Watt is another great NFL football player, or great personage, period, in the entertainment industry, who was being put through the Eminem effect. In other words, he was underrated because he was Caucasian, and then once he started to perform superlatively, he started to become overrated.
Sacks, 20 and a half sacks, 17 and a half sacks. So they started to do the projection because they're like, he going to keep at this pace. And I remember doing a segment like he has put himself already in the conversation, which should be amazing enough. But that's not good enough for television. So they want me to declare he is. And I'm like, no, he's going to fall short of a couple of names. One, Bruce Smith. One, Reggie White. I walk off set.
You can throw Richard Dent in there too. Richard Dent, Reggie White, Bruce Smith are the 3 greatest defensive ends I've ever seen that I could think of offhand.
Get a text. Who texts you, Marcellus? Who texts you, Big?
And throw Charles Haley in there as well.
Him. You know who he is. He did. Him. And all he said is, Bruce, holla at me in 10 years. Let's see if he can keep this up. Since that television show, this dude has only played in all 16 games 1 out of the 4 years. He's not keeping that same pace.
Yeah, I wonder why his body's breaking down like that all of a sudden. Things that make it go,
Keeping that same energy. I think when Aaron Rodgers wants to whisper to people, I don't know if Patrick Mahomes is going to keep this same injury, the game changes.
We'll see. We'll see. I mean, it's certainly a point to be made. It's going to be very difficult for Patrick to maintain this level of success and proficiency over the course of his career, but he plans on playing for a very long time. And once again, what makes Patrick Mahomes stand out, in my view, above most other quarterbacks in the NFL is not just his natural throwing ability, but also his intangibles. He's a leader by nature, and he's a doer. He's not just a talker.
Now, let me just start by saying this. When you're talking about Aaron Rodgers and where he's currently sitting and where he's standing and all those interesting points of discussion that you're giving, you guys have made the conversation more about Pat Mahomes than you have about Aaron Rodgers. That's first and foremost.
Well, you're going to have to include Pat Mahomes because Aaron Rodgers was asked about Pat Mahomes.
The value of Aaron Rodgers should be based upon the value of Aaron Rodgers, not based upon Pat Mahomes. That's first and foremost. But here's the thing. Here's why it's so disingenuous, right? Usually when somebody piggybacks off of wanting to keep their job and keep the status of what they have and put it out there in the forefront that I'm the guy and only a guy like Pat Mahomes is worth being in the conversation, is a family member. Right? I remember I had a family member back in the day. He used to always have humble brags about how good he was and how he played the position And then when his nephew would come home and in the S500 or in the hopped up strut kit Hummer H2 turbocharged, right? Yeah. He'd be like, yeah, he learned all that stuff from me, right? Like, and I used to sit there and I'd be like, I love the humble brag of my uncles because I carried on the legacy of what they represented. They could ball. They just wasn't as good as me. All right, now, Aaron Rodgers is pulled.
For those of you who don't know, LeVar Arrington, back in the late 90s, people thought that he was going to be the next Lawrence Taylor when he was coming out of Penn State. Of course, his career did not pan out that way, but that was real. Back in college, he was viewed as being all that in a Hot Wheel track.
Humble brag to convince Green Bay that he's still that dude. This is disingenuous. You're leveraging and coattailing.
I agree with that to a degree. That's definitely a valid point that Aaron Rodgers is still trying to show his soon-to-be ex-wife that you're making a mistake.
Mahomes' greatness.
But it's more so also just trying to reassert to himself and to regular people, I'm right there with anybody. I'm still here. I'm still that guy.
I am the great, and this guy is as great as me. I don't see anybody else as great as me. Shout out Jordan Love. I don't see anybody throwing the ball and running around mobile and putting the ball where it needs to be. Shout out Jordan Love. Shout out LaFleur. Y'all may not be making the right decisions right now because on my humble, disingenuous, shameless plug deal, I'm letting you know the only guy that I can sit here and say honestly that's as good as me is Patrick Mahomes. There's a lot of quarterbacks underneath that list of guys that he just brought up in that situation.
And that's also why Aaron Rodgers started it with his little statement about his State Farm partner. In other words, I was there first, and now they're bringing Patrick Mahomes up under me, like I'm his trainer or some shit.
I like where you at, LeVar. For once, I'm not necessarily going to disagree with you wholeheartedly. But what I am going to say is this. Aaron Rodgers has to put himself back in the context of Pat Mahomes, because what do they say, bruh? The market dictates your value.
Agreed.
Patrick Mahomes is the market. So for Aaron Rodgers to remind everybody exactly of what his value is, it has to be comparable to something. So Aaron Rodgers is saying, okay, if Pat Mahomes is a gold standard, let me remind you that I am and was the gold standard before you all started buying into this.
Was.
You the problem.
There you go.
You're the problem. You LeVar, are the problem because you've forgotten about Aaron Rodgers' greatness. Because here's the thing, LeVar. During Christmas, you was probably the guy that, you got this one shiny new toy, and you forgot about the dope toy you had just yesterday because you're like, oh, wow, I got a new
I don't even like gifts. I got too much.
Bro.
I don't really enjoy them.
Boy, them humble brags are coming rapid fire right now. Let's get off this.
Let me see a note in handwriting. That impresses me.
Oh, heartfelt. Shut up.
Was.
Coming up, Lou Williams.
But anyway, that's basically it on that, brothers. We'll see how things go with Aaron Rodgers, but he does see his athletic mortality quickly approaching. And I won't say that right now he's desperate, but he's on the verge of desperation. If the Green Bay Packers start off slow next season, or this season I should say, should they be able to play this season, it would not surprise me that should the coach decide to bench Aaron Rodgers, that he request a trade. Aaron is that type of person. He's not just going to abide by, especially a young coach like LaFleur, who's never accomplished anything, trying to disrespect him in Aaron's mind, trying to marginalize him with all of his great accomplishments. He's not just going to sit idly by and allow that to happen. But anyway, peace.